Have you ever wondered why a lion and a lizard are not in the same group, and why humans are not in the same group with mushroom? You are in the right place to know that. In our previous episode, we treated introduction to biology. Under it, we treated living things and non-living things. We are continuing with what we treated last time, and now we'll be moving to classification of living organisms. Classification of living organisms. So by the end of this video, we understand the concept of classification of living organisms. We know a fun and easy mnemonics to master the hierarchy, the taxonomy hierarchy, and the classification of living organisms. And we also have a better understanding of how to tackle questions under it. And we also learn the modern classification of living organisms. It is very important you also know that one. So guys, without much being said, let's dive into the video. What is classification? What is classification? That's what we'll be starting with. What is classification? We need to know the definition of classification, and then we'll now talk about living organisms, so we can understand the concept behind the topic. So what is classification? Classification is the systematic arrangement. Of living organisms. To various groups based on similarities in structure, function, evolutionary history. And when I say evolutionary history, I mean where it evolved from, and DNA and physiology. So classification is the systematic arrangement of living organisms to various groups based on similarities in structure, function, evolutionary history, DNA, and physiology. So the arrangement is based on this thing I underline. So it is very important to know the definition of classification. And living organisms are also known as living things. They are those things that have life in them. So now let's move to the history of classification. Who founded it, who proposed it. So let's move to that now. History of classification. So classification was introduced by a Swedish botanist, and the name of that Swedish botanist is Carolus Linnaeus. Make sure you note that you can be asked that who introduced classification. Is the one that introduced classification formally, and he introduced it in year 1707 to 1778. He introduced it in year 1707 to 1778, and he's a Swedish botanist. And another thing to note about Carolus Linnaeus is that he is the father of taxonomy. Father of taxonomy is Carolus Linnaeus. So now, since we know how the history evolved, so now let's talk about taxonomy. We need to talk about taxonomy because taxonomy is like a broader version of classification. Classification is still under taxonomy. So far, we've talked about the definition for classification and the history. So now let's move to taxonomy. Taxonomy is the broader version of classification. Taxonomy is a branch of biology that deals with the classification of living organisms. As you can see now that classification of living organisms is still under taxonomy. So taxonomy is a branch of biology. It's a branch of biology that deals with describing, note that deals with describing, naming and classifying living organisms. As you can see now that classifying living organisms is also known as classification of living organisms. As you can see now that it is still under taxonomy. Let's move to what form taxonomy. We need to know what form taxonomy. Taxonomy is formed by two Greek words. Taxonomy is formed by two Greek words, and the first is taxis. Taxis means arrangement. Why nomi, which the Greek word is nomos. The Greek word is nomos. It means law. Taxis means arrangement, while nomos means law. So guys, let's move to why taxonomy is important. We need to know the importance of taxonomy. Why is taxonomy important? Taxonomy important. Why is taxonomy important? One, it organizes biological diversity. And how does taxonomy organize biological diversity? All organisms, they have groups where they came from, and it is the help of taxonomy that is being done. So all humans, all plants, all animals are being classified, are being diversified. So the next one is it provides a universal naming system. And that naming system, the universal naming system, is binomial nomenclature. I know you should have heard about this terminology, binomial nomenclature. So that is what we'll be talking about next, binomial nomenclature. You need to know the rules of binomial nomenclature. So we'll be moving to that soon. And the next one which you need to know is taxonomy identify evolutionary relationships. According to science, humans evolved from apes. So taxonomy helps in identifying evolutionary relationships. So now let's move to the taxonomy hierarchy, what you have been waiting for, the classification of living organisms, which is also the taxonomy hierarchy. So we are going to list it out from kingdoms to species, and there will be mnemonics to master it. So now we'll be talking about how organisms are being classified. So organisms are classified into 7 major ranks. They are classified into 7 major ranks. And I will write out the mnemonics out now. King Philip came over for good soup. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's start from king. King means kingdom. So this is the mnemonics, why this is the 7 major ranks and the hierarchy. So now we move to phylum, down to class, down to order down to F stands for family, F stands for family, G stands for genus, YF stands for species. So these are the hierarchy from lowest to highest, from highest to lowest. Once it is going down, it is going from highest to lowest. But once it is going up, it is going from lowest to highest. The most inclusive hierarchy of living organism, the answer should be kingdom. But once we are asked that the least inclusive, it will be the species. The lowest is species, while the highest is kingdom. So now, this is the mnemonic to master it. King Philip came over for good soup. King Philip came over for good soup. So now, let's master binomial nomenclature and know the rules. We need to know the rules of binomial nomenclature and the definition. So now, let's dive into that now. Binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. And I hope you know that phylum also means division. Hope you know that. Another name for phylum in division is division. And in plants, the phylum is not called phylum in plants, it is called division. Am I clear with that? So make sure you note that it is very essential. Very essential. So now let's move to binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. So now to binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature is the system. This is the system of naming organism. With two Latin words. So the first rule to name it is that the first must be capitalized. The first Latin word must be capitalized. And the first Latin word comes from genus. So the second thing to note is that the second Latin word must be lowercase. When I say lowercase, I mean it should be in small letter. And the second Latin comes from species. So the system of naming organism with two Latin words come from genus as the first Latin word, while the second Latin word is species, and it must be in Latin word. Don't forget, it must be in Latin word. So these are the rules. So let's move to examples of binomial nomenclature. Let's move to the examples. Examples. 1, we have maize. I hope you know that maize is a plant and it's a living organism. I hope you know that. So now let's name maize. Let's write out the Latin word. Maize consists two Latin words from genus and species. So the genus for maize is Z. It must be what? Capitalized. As you can see, it's capitalized here. And for the species, it is called maize. As you can see, it is pluralized. So that's how you name using binomial nomenclature. So we also have another example, rat. So the two Latin word that forms rat is ratus. The genus is ratus, while the species also ratus. The species must be lowercase, while the genus must be capitalized. So now let's move to another one. So let's move to the next one, which is dog. The scientific name for dog is Canis familiaris. Canis familiaris. The canis is starting with capital letter, while the species is lowercase, which is in small letter. And the next one is pawpaw. Pawpaw. The scientific name for pawpaw is Carica. I know a lot is familiar with the scientific name of pawpaw. Carica papaya. Carica papaya. So this papaya is the species, while this carica is the genus. So the next one is woman. So I won't be answering this. Drop the answer for the scientific name of woman in the comment section. So far we've talked about the definition of classification of living organism, the history, where we talked about Carolus Linnaeus from year 1707 to 1778. So Carolus Linnaeus is a Swedish botanist. He's the one that formally introduced classification. We also talked about taxonomy. Taxonomy comes from two Greek words, taxis meaning arrangement, while nomos meaning law. So now, without much being said, we've also talked about the hierarchy of taxonomy from kingdom to species: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. I already gave you mnemonics to master that also. So now I'll be moving to the definition of each rank from kingdom to species. And if you haven't subscribed up to now, why haven't you subscribed? Make sure you subscribe now. Once I drop another video, you'll be the first person to watch the video. So now we'll be talking about the definition of each rank. Definition of each rank, starting from species down to kingdom. Species, as you know, species is the lowest. So species is a group of organisms that interbreed freely to produce offspring, to produce fertile offspring. So now that's the definition for species. So let's move to the next one, which is genus. Genus is being pluralized. The singular name for genus is genera. Genera is general. And general is a group of closely related species. A group of closely related species. I will give you a tip to master this definition now. So the next one is species, genus, kingdom, phylum, order, family, genus, species. So the next one is family. Family is a group of closely related genus. The next one, order. Order is a group of closely related family. So the next one is class. Class is a group of closely related order. What can you notice here? Can anyone notice anything? Let me explain to you guys. Genus is a group of closely related species. So species forms genus. Closely related species form genus. For family, closely related genus form family. For order, closely related family forms order. For class, closely related order forms class. And the next one, which is phylum, closely related class form phylum. And for kingdom, closely related phylum form kingdom. I hope you understand that now. Let's write notes on kingdom and phylum for those jotting it down. Let's write notes on kingdom and phylum. So for phylum is a group of organisms Group of organisms of closely related what? Closely related. What is next to phylum in the hierarchy? The next one to phylum in the hierarchy is class. So it's a group of organisms of closely related class. So the last one is kingdom. Kingdom. Kingdom is a broad group of organisms, broader group of organism related closely related phylum, because phylum is next to kingdom related phylum. So I hope we are clear with that now. So now let's move to the modern classification of taxonomy. Let's move to the modern classification, where we'll be talking about kingdom, how kingdom is being divided into 5, and after that we'll be treating practice question. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and make sure you share this video and also comment. If you are interested in tutorial or mentorship, just share this number I'm writing here. Chat it now on WhatsApp, so you can negotiate. So now you are going to join the tutorial. There are also quizzes you are going to have access to. Make sure you share this number, and if you are interested in mentorship, if you are interested in getting JAMB syllabus, share this number, or WAEC syllabus or NECO syllabus. Just share this number so you can get it for free. So guys, let's move to the next one. So now let's talk about modern classification system. So in 1969, an American biologist whose name is R.H. Whitaker, proposed a widely accepted kingdom system, and it is 5. We have 5 kingdom systems, which I'll be listing out now, starting from the first one, which is Monera. The second, Protist, also called Prototista. The next one is fungi. The next one is Plantae. While the last one is Animalia. Plantae means plant, while Animalia means animal. So we have to add kingdom. It is called kingdom Monera, kingdom Protist, kingdom fungi, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia. So make sure you jot this down. It's very important, and take note of this name. It's the one that widely proposed their widely accepted kingdom system. So now, before moving to practice question, in our next class, make sure you subscribe now so you can also continue with us. In our next class, we'll be talking about kingdom Monera. We'll be talking about the function, how it is being evolved, the classification, where it evolved from, organisms that are under kingdom Monera. Make sure you subscribe now so you don't miss out. So we are moving now to practice question. So now I remember now that I want to give you guys mnemonics to remember these 5 kingdom system, and it is called My Poor Friend Plant Apple. This my represents Monera, this poor represents Protist, this friend represents fungi, plant represents Plantae, while apple represents Animalia. So guys, let's move to practice question. Let's treat this practice question together. The largest unit of classification is A species, B class, C kingdom, D phylum. So according to what we've discussed earlier, kingdom is the largest unit of classification according to the hierarchy, while the least is species. So kingdom is the appropriate answer. Question 2. Who is regarded as the father of modern taxonomy? A. Charles Darwin, B. R.H. Whitaker, C. Carolus Linnaeus, D. Gregor Mendel. So let's start from Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel is the father of genetics, while Carolus Linnaeus is the father of modern taxonomy. For R.H. Whitaker is the one that proposed modern classification system. So don't mix it up. Modern taxonomy is Carolus Linnaeus, while modern classification system is R.H. Whitaker. For Charles Darwin is the one that talked about natural selection. Natural selection. So guys, let's continue with the questions. Question 3. A group of organisms that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring is called A. A genus, B. Order, C. Species, D. Family. So the group of organisms that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring is the species. Make sure you know that. We've also discussed that earlier. And for those that are following, this is a cheap question. You should be able to answer it correctly. Question 4. The term division is used in place of phylum in A. Animals, B. Protozoa, C. Bacteria, D. Plants. So division is used in place of phylum in plant classification. I also said that earlier. So if you really follow this class, this practice question should be very easy to answer for you. So plant is the appropriate answer. So now let's move to the next one. Question 5. The system of classification of living things is known as A. Taxonomy, B. Taxonomy, C. Anatomy, D. Binomial nomenclature. So now I leave this to you that you are watching this video. Answer this question and drop the answer in the comment section. So now that you have understand the classification of living things, you have understand the taxonomy and binomial nomenclature, and you have also understand how scientists name and group organisms. So guys, in our next video, we'll be talking about this first and simplest kingdom classification, which will be kingdom Monera. So we'll be treating kingdom Monera in our next episode. So guys, keep learning and keep practicing. See you in the next one.